Welcome to Module 1, the Setup Sprint Plan. This is the module that keeps you from getting stuck in settings and losing an hour or more. The goal is simple. In about 30 to 60 minutes, you'll have a usable iPhone setup with privacy-first defaults and a plan to review anything you didn't want to tackle on day one. If you do this in a clean order, you'll avoid most of the common problems, like too many apps too early, permissions that get granted automatically, and rules that aren't clear. Let's walk through the plan. Here's what you'll do in this module. First, you'll choose the right setup path, constrained or standard. Second, you'll follow a simple order so you don't miss the high-privacy ROI defaults, the settings that make the biggest difference with the least ongoing effort. Third, you'll decide what to do today versus what to review in the first week so you don't feel like you have to perfect everything right now. And finally, you'll end with a clean handoff and clear family rules. The overall goal is a usable iPhone today, with fewer apps and fewer permissions. No rabbit holes. Now choose your setup path. A constrained setup means fewer apps to start, tighter permissions, approved contacts only, stronger downtime and app limits, and location sharing off by default. This is usually the best default for ages 8 to 12, especially if you're unsure. A standard setup still uses the same privacy baseline, but it gives a bit more flexibility from the start. You'll rely on guardrails and routines, and then use the first week review to tighten anything you missed. Rule of thumb: when in doubt, start constrained. It's much easier to loosen later than it is to reset habits once the phone is fully integrated. On this slide, I want you to anchor on one idea. We're trying to get to done, not perfect. Done has 3 parts. First, the iPhone is usable for the reason you bought it: calls, texting, and whatever logistics your family needs. Second, it has a privacy baseline. That means you're not accidentally sharing location, apps don't have broad access by default, and you've reduced the obvious tracking exposure. Third, and this is the part most people skip, you have guardrails plus a routine. Guardrails handle the day-to-day, and the routine is what prevents the setup from slowly drifting over time. If you get those 3 pieces in place, you've already made your child a harder target, and you've made your own life easier. These 5 non-negotiables are here for one reason. They prevent the problems that create the most friction later. The first 2, location sharing off by default, and new apps require approval or review, reduce exposure, and keep you from playing catch-up when a new app quietly collects more data than you'd expect. The next one, permissions start as allow when needed, is the big privacy win. Most kids tap allow to make the prompt go away. Your job is to teach the opposite habit. Only grant access when there's a clear reason. Then ask to buy protects you from surprise subscriptions and in-app purchases. And finally, downtime plus a charging station is the habit layer. It prevents the late-night spiral, and it keeps the iPhone out of the bedroom by default. If you do nothing else today, do these 5. They'll make your child a harder target and make the rest of the setup calmer. Here's the sprint order. Follow this sequence and you'll stay out of the weeds. First is foundation, Apple ID, family sharing, and recovery. This prevents do-overs later. Second is the privacy baseline, location, tracking, and permissions. Third is guardrails, screen time, downtime, and app limits. Fourth is safety basics, device passcode, Find My, and updates. Fifth is the handoff, family defaults plus the first week check-in date. And here's the reminder: avoid the trap of perfecting everything today. Baseline now, then review in week 1 when you've seen how the phone is actually being used. Before you start tapping through settings, decide your family defaults and write them down. Pick your downtime start and end times for school nights. Decide whether new apps require approval or just review. Decide whether contacts are approved only or more open. Decide on location, off by default or always on for safety. Whatever fits your family, but choose intentionally. And decide what you want on the lock screen, which notifications show, if any. Defaults reduce arguing later, because you're not negotiating every decision in the moment. They also reduce permission creep over time, because you're starting from a clear baseline. Quick warning about rabbit holes. These are the ones that eat time and usually don't pay off on day 1. App-by-app research on day 1. Trying to create the perfect content filter immediately. Debating every single permission prompt as it appears. And adding 25 rules at once and enforcing none. Instead, lock in the baseline, then do a first week review together. You're aiming for good defaults plus a routine, not perfect settings forever. That's how you keep this sustainable without turning yourself into full-time tech support. Pause here and set yourself up for success. Block 30 to 60 minutes when you won't be rushed. Have the Apple ID and recovery info ready before you start. Decide your path, constrained or standard. Gather your family defaults, write them down, and schedule the first week check-in now. That first week check-in is where most families lock in the privacy wins long-term, because it's when you'll catch new apps, new prompts, and the early habits that form in the first few days. Next up is Module 2, Foundation Setup. In the next module, we'll set up Apple ID and recovery, family sharing, and ask to buy. This foundation prevents do-overs later and makes everything else smoother. Once the foundation is in place, your privacy baseline and guardrails will be much easier to apply consistently. When you're ready, proceed to Module 2,